When you think about sending a text to a man you're interested in, most people's instinct is to throw the kitchen sink at it. They'll write paragraph after paragraph telling him exactly what they're thinking, exactly how much they like him, and exactly what they want to happen next. And on the surface, it feels like that should work, right? You're being honest, you're showing interest, you're being transparent. But here's the problem: when you give everything away all at once, you take away the one thing that truly builds desire. Curiosity. Attraction is fueled by the unknown. It's that little gap in the story that he's desperate to fill in his mind. When you remove that gap, you remove the thrill. The art here is suggestion, not overexposure. Think of it like a movie trailer. The best trailers don't show you the entire plot in 2 minutes. They give you glimpses. A look between two characters, a snippet of a dramatic line, a quick flash of the action. They leave you leaning forward thinking, I need to see the rest. That's what your text should do. Just enough to spark his imagination, never so much that it satisfies his curiosity completely. So instead of sending a message that says, I can't stop thinking about you, I hope we see each other soon, I really like you, you might say something like, something reminded me of you today, but I'm not sure if I should tell you. What happens in his head when he gets that? His mind starts working overtime. He's imagining what you saw, why it made you think of him, what you might say next, and now he's leaning forward, wanting more. You've created a question in his head, and questions are powerful because they're like open loops in his mind that crave closure. The danger with overexposure isn't just that you give him too much, it's that it removes the magic. If he feels like he already has you completely, if there's no mystery, no challenge, then the emotional voltage drops. Desire is not built on certainty, it's built on anticipation. When he's anticipating your next message, your next move, your next appearance in his day, he's emotionally invested. When everything is laid out in plain sight, there's nothing left to anticipate. You have to remember, a man will fill in the blanks you leave in ways that are often far more flattering and exciting than anything you could tell him outright. His imagination will work for you if you let it. And here's where most people get it wrong. They're afraid of leaving things unsaid. They think, if I don't spell it out, he won't get the message. But in reality, subtlety is far louder than desperation. That little gap you leave is where his attraction grows. It's about trusting the process, knowing that you don't need to send 5 texts explaining how you feel. One short, playful, slightly cryptic message can do more than any essay ever could. It's about leaning into that power. And if you've ever worried, what if he loses interest if I don't tell him everything? Remember, these people rarely lose interest because you left them curious. They lose interest because you removed the intrigue before they were ready. So the next time you're about to type out that long, overly revealing text, pause. Ask yourself, am I feeding his curiosity or am I smothering it? If it's the latter, cut it down. Leave space. Create tension. Give him the trailer, not the full movie. When you master the art of suggestion, you don't have to chase him. He'll be the one chasing the rest of the story you haven't told yet. There's something almost magical about how our brains are wired to relive emotions when we're reminded of a shared moment. You've probably had it happen yourself. Someone mentions a memory you both experienced, and instantly you're back there, feeling what you felt, hearing the sounds, even catching the sense of that moment. When you tap into that through a text, you're not just sending words, you're triggering an entire emotional replay in his mind. And that is one of the fastest ways to make him feel connected to you again, even if you haven't spoken in a while. Shared moment. Text works because it's not theoretical. It's rooted in something you've already experienced together. It's not you trying to convince him to like you or to create attraction from scratch. It's you reminding him of a time when he already felt good with you. The moment you bring that memory back, he doesn't just remember it, he feels it all over again. And the beauty of this is feelings are persuasive. People rarely make decisions purely on logic. They move toward what feels good. So imagine you send him a text that says, "Remember that ridiculous waiter who couldn't stop making jokes at the restaurant? I just walked past that place and thought of you." What's happening in his head when he gets that? He's smiling. He's back at that table, hearing you laugh, watching your eyes light up. And just like that, you've pulled him into the same emotional space he was in when you shared that experience. That's not just attraction, that's bonding. The best part is, these moments don't have to be grand or overly romantic. In fact, sometimes the smaller, sillier ones are more powerful because they're so specific. Anyone can say, "Remember that amazing night we had." But that's vague, it doesn't paint a vivid picture. When you recall something ultra specific, like the exact song that was playing when you danced in the kitchen, or the face he made when he tried that awful dessert you ordered, it becomes real in his mind. He's not just remembering that it happened, he's reliving it. Another little secret here is that these texts feel effortless. They don't read as though you're trying to make him miss you. They just seem like you were going about your day, something triggered a thought of him, and you decided to share it. That casual delivery makes it even more powerful because it doesn't trigger his defenses. He doesn't feel like you're pushing for a deeper conversation, yet he's more drawn in. What you're doing here is subtly anchoring positive emotions to you. Every time you remind him of a moment when he felt alive, happy, or playful around you, you're reinforcing the connection between those emotions and your presence in his life. It's the same principle that makes certain songs unforgettable. You hear them, and you're instantly back to the first time you danced to them or sang them in the car with someone you loved. The brain stores those associations, and every reminder strengthens them. Now, you might be wondering, what if we don't have that many shared moments yet? That's okay. Even a small, recent experience can work if you highlight it in the right way. Maybe it's the time you both struggled to find parking before a movie, or the random street performer you stopped to watch together. It doesn't have to be monumental. It just has to be yours. When you master this, your texts stop being mere check-ins. They become emotional time machines, transporting him to moments that made him feel good with you. Moments that made him laugh, moments that made him curious about you. And the more you do that, the more he associates you with those feelings, and the more he wants to create new ones with you. There's something incredibly attractive about a person who knows how to playfully tease. It's that mix of confidence and lightheartedness that makes someone feel alive around you. When you tease in the right way, you're sending a powerful message without saying it outright. You're showing him you're not afraid to have fun with him, you're not walking on eggshells, and you're comfortable enough to make the dynamic between you feel exciting. It's the difference between a conversation that's polite and forgettable and one that keeps replaying in his mind long after he puts his phone down. Playful teasing works because it creates a little push-pull tension. It's not about being mean, and it's definitely not about putting him down. It's about giving him a tiny challenge, a moment where he feels like he has to step up, respond, or win you over in a fun way. Think about it. If you hand someone all the validation they want instantly, they enjoy it in the moment, but there's no spark, no chase. But when you give them a taste of approval and then pull back with a cheeky remark, it makes them want to lean in for more. For example, instead of saying, "You look amazing in that picture," you could say, "Not bad. Are you trying to impress me, or is this just your casual look?" It's playful, it's flirty, and it turns a compliment into a game. Or if he's bragging about something he did, you could respond with, "Wow, I'm so impressed, I might need to see proof before I hand out my applause." These little moments turn texting into a dance. There's back and forth. There's energy, there's movement. The magic of teasing is that it positions you as someone who's confident in your value. You're not desperate to agree with everything he says or to shower him with endless approval. You're showing him you can hold your own, and you have standards, and that you see the interaction as a playful exchange rather than a one-way street of admiration. And here's the thing, confidence like that is magnetic, but it's important to understand the balance. Too much teasing, especially if it's sharp or constant, can cross into sarcasm or feel like criticism. The goal is always to make him smile, not to make him doubt himself. A good tease is like a nudge on the shoulder, not a shove in the chest. It's about the tone, the timing, and making sure it's wrapped in warmth. That way, he knows you're being light-hearted and not taking digs at him. One of the underrated benefits of playful teasing is that it creates inside jokes and little shared moments only the two of you understand. If you tease him about always being late, the next time he shows up on time, you can send a, "Whoa, should I be concerned? Who are you? And what have you done with the guy I know?" That's not just teasing. That's building rapport and creating a unique rhythm that belongs to your connection alone. The other reason teasing is irresistible is because it mirrors the way people naturally behave when they're attracted to each other. Think about when you were a kid and had a crush. You'd find little ways to poke fun, not because you disliked the person, but because you wanted their attention. That instinct doesn't disappear in adulthood. It just becomes a little more sophisticated. When you weave playful teasing into your texts, you shift the conversation from predictable to unpredictable. He's no longer just replying to questions or statements. He's engaging in a fun little battle of wit. And when someone feels that spark with you, they don't just want to keep talking, they start craving more of it. That craving is exactly what keeps you on his mind. There's a subtle but powerful shift that happens when you make a man imagine you in his future. It's not about forcing a big, serious conversation about commitment or asking where things are going. That often feels heavy and can scare someone off if it's too soon. Instead, it's about planting little seeds in a light, playful way that make him picture you there naturally. This is what I call the future hook. And it's one of the simplest ways to deepen a connection without pressure. When you casually suggest something you could do together, you're not just talking about plans, you're creating a mini vision in his mind. For example, if he tells you he loves a certain type of food, you might say, "Well, clearly we're going to have to test out the best spot in the city for that." You're not saying, "Take me out," or "When are you free?" You're simply putting an image in his head where the two of you are sharing that experience. And here's the thing, once an image like that is in his mind, he can't help but think about it again later. The beauty of this approach is that it makes your presence in his future feel organic. You're not intruding or demanding space in his life, you're sliding into it in a way that feels fun and inevitable. These little future hooks work best when they're tied to shared interests, jokes, or experiences you've already talked about. Maybe you've joked about who makes the best coffee. Now you drop in, "We'll have to settle this once and for all on a Saturday coffee crawl." Suddenly, he's not just picturing coffee, he's picturing coffee with you. Another thing that makes this so effective is the emotional effect of anticipation. Humans love having something to look forward to, and when that something includes you, it automatically increases his sense of connection. Even if it's a simple idea, like watching a movie you both love, going to a street festival, or trying a ridiculous food challenge, it gives the interaction momentum. You're not just living in the moment, you're building little bridges to the next one. It's also worth noting that the future hook creates a different kind of attraction than pure flirting. Flirting is about creating sparks right now. Future hooks are about making those sparks last, stretching the thread of your connection so it feels ongoing. He starts to feel like you're part of his life in more than just this moment. That's powerful because while anyone can create a fun conversation in the present, not everyone knows how to make someone think about them tomorrow, next week, or a month from now. The trick is to keep it light and non-committal. You don't want it to feel like a test or an obligation. We need to do this or else. You want it to feel like an invitation to something enjoyable. The less pressure, the more likely he is to take that mental picture and hold on to it. And if he's genuinely interested, he'll often take the bait and turn your casual suggestion into a real plan. That's when you know the hook worked. What's amazing is that even if the plan doesn't happen right away, you've still shifted the way he thinks about you. You've gone from being someone he talks to being someone he imagines doing things with. And when a man starts imagining experiences with you, he starts feeling like you belong in his world. That sense of belonging is what turns fleeting attraction into lasting desire. So next time you're texting and the opportunity comes up, don't just respond to the moment, add a little thread to the future. Paint a small picture, plant the seed, and then leave it there. The best part, you don't even have to push for it to happen, because the moment he wants that picture to be real, he'll make the move himself. Most men are used to hearing the same surface level compliments over and over. Things about their looks, their height, their smile, maybe how handsome they are. And while those can feel good in the moment, they rarely stick. They don't go deep enough to make him feel truly seen. What makes a compliment unforgettable is when it's unexpected, specific, and about something he doesn't often get acknowledged for. That's where the real impact lies. When you give a man an unexpected compliment, you're not just flattering him, you're touching a part of his identity that he takes pride in, often quietly. It might be the way he stays calm when things get stressful, the effort he puts into making people laugh, or how focused he is on his goals. When you point out those qualities, it's like you've shined a light on a part of him that others overlook. That kind of recognition doesn't just make him feel good, it makes him feel valued. And feeling valued is addictive. Think about the difference between saying, "You look great in that shirt," versus, "You have this way of making everyone around you feel comfortable." It's rare. The first is nice, but it's forgettable. The second, that goes straight to his core because you're not commenting on something obvious. Anyone with eyes can see the shirt. You're noticing something about his character, his energy, his impact on the people around him. That's the kind of compliment that lingers in his mind long after the conversation is over. The beauty of this approach is that it naturally separates you from everyone else. If most people are giving him the same generic validation, your words stand out as more meaningful and thoughtful. And here's where it gets even better. When you acknowledge something deeper about a man, it invites him to show you more of that side of himself. If you tell him you admire his creativity, he'll want to share his ideas with you. If you notice his attention to detail, he'll want to impress you with more of it. Your compliment becomes a mirror that reflects his best qualities back at him, and he'll subconsciously want to keep seeing that reflection in your presence. Now, the key here is sincerity. An unexpected compliment only works if you mean it. Forced praise is easy to spot, and it loses all its power. But when you genuinely notice something that others might miss, it hits differently. It's like you've been paying attention in a way that most people don't bother to. And that's incredibly attractive. It makes him feel like you see him not just for what's on the surface, but for who he actually is. You can also weave these compliments into your messages subtly so they don't feel like you're trying too hard. Instead of dropping them like formal statements, you can tuck them into playful or casual lines. For example, "You're annoyingly good at finding solutions for everything. Don't think I haven't noticed." That's light, but it still carries weight. It says, "I see you, I respect you, I appreciate what you bring." When you master the unexpected compliment, you're essentially creating a deeper layer of attraction. It's no longer just about fun banter or physical chemistry. It's about emotional significance. He starts to associate you with the rare feeling of being seen and understood in a world where most interactions skim the surface. And when a man feels that way around you, he doesn't just want to talk to you. He wants to keep you in his life. So the next time you're about to compliment him, pause for a moment. Skip the obvious. Look for the detail no one else mentions. Highlight the thing that makes him unique. Because when you do, you won't just make him smile, you'll make him remember you. One of the most underrated ways to make a man crave you is to leave the conversation while the energy is still high. It's what I call the pull away spark, ending things before they fizzle out so he's left with that slight ache of wanting more. Think of it like a great TV series. The best shows don't wrap up every storyline neatly in each episode. They end on a moment that makes you say, wait, what happens next? That feeling keeps people coming back, and in your connection with him, it works the exact same way. When you let a conversation run on until there's nothing left to say, you might feel like you're showing effort and interest, but what you're actually doing is giving away all of the tension you've built. The excitement drops, and the last thing you want is for him to associate your conversations with that slow fade into boredom. Instead, you want him to feel that little pang of disappointment when the interaction ends, not because it went badly, but because it was so good he wishes it wasn't over. The trick is to leave while the mood is still warm and playful. Maybe you're in the middle of joking back and forth, or he's telling you a funny story, or you've just shared something that made him laugh out loud. That's the perfect moment to say something like, okay, I have to go be a responsible adult now, but we'll pick this up later. You're not ghosting him, you're not being cold, you're simply pressing pause at a peak moment. And that's exactly what makes him look forward to the next time you talk. Pulling away like this also communicates that you have a full, interesting life outside of him. You're not glued to your phone waiting for his next message. You've got things going on, and that in itself is magnetic. People are naturally drawn to those who have their own world because it signals confidence and self-worth. It tells him, without you ever having to say it, I'm someone worth making space for in your life. This approach also amplifies the effect of every other text you send. If he's used to conversations with you ending on a high note, he starts associating your presence with excitement. It's like hearing the first few notes of a favorite song. He knows something good is about to happen. And when that moment comes, he's more invested, more attentive, because he doesn't want to miss it. Now, some people worry that ending a conversation early might make them seem disinterested. But here's the thing, when you've built warmth, connection, and a little tension first, pulling away doesn't feel like rejection. It feels like anticipation. The difference is in the delivery. If you end things abruptly or without context, it can be jarring. But if you end it with a playful remark, a light tease, or a hint about something you'll share later, it becomes an invitation for him to reach out again. You can even tie this into the other techniques we've talked about. Imagine ending with a future hook. I'll tell you about the time I got locked out of my apartment, but that's a story for next time. Or linking it to a shared moment. This reminds me of that night we couldn't stop laughing. We'll have to relive that soon. You're not just ending the conversation, you're planting a reason for it to start again. When you master the pull away spark, you create a rhythm in your connection, one where he's always leaning forward, always looking for the next moment with you. And that's when craving shifts from a fleeting feeling to something that keeps him coming back over and over again.